بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So we continue with our lessons from the book Ad-Durus Al-Arabiya, which is Medina book 1, and last lesson was a revision lesson, but the lesson before that, before our break, we covered the sun letters and the moon letters, or al-huruf al-shamsiyya wal-qamariyya. These letters, or the alphabet, the Arabic alphabet is of 28 letters. 14 of them are sun and 14 of them are moon. The reason why they are called sun letters, because ash-shams, the word ash-shams, seen, or the sun, it begins with a sheen, which is sun letter. And its opposite, al-qamar, the moon, it begins with a qaf, a moon letter. This is why they are named after, they're called the sun letters and moon letters. Like Shaykh Al-Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions is the explanation of Al-Ajurumiyya. Also, the reasons why we said the sun, what is a moon letter? A moon letter is that when al is placed before a moon letter, the lam is pronounced. Whereas in the sun letters, if the alif lam, the al is placed before a sun letter, the lam is not pronounced. Whereas it is the alif or the hamza is assimilated, or merged with the sun letter. So for example, ash-shams, you don't hear me say al-shams, you don't hear the lam. That's because the hamza is merged, amalgamated into that sun letter. Whereas the moon letter, al-qamar, you do hear the lam. There was a question from one of the sisters around a couple lessons ago, when we were actually talking about the sun and moon letters. What is the reason for the missing of the lam in the sun letter? And that the ulama, they mention is because of it's to do with the makharij, it's to do with the pronunciation. And they say that the makharij of the sun letters is qareeb, is close to the lam. It's close in pronunciation to the lam. So the pronunciation of the tha is close to the la in pronunciation, in the tongue, in the actual way you pronounce it. So those 14 sun letters, they say, the reason why the lam is not pronounced, they say, بسبب قرب المخارج, the closeness of the pronunciation of these letters to the lam. Whereas the moon letters, they say that the lam is pronounced is because of the bu'd al-makharij, the further, the pronunciation of these 14 letters, qaf, and for example, al-mindil, the mim, these letters are further away from the pronunciation of the lam. So, one is the sun letters is due to the qurb al-makharij, the closeness of the pronunciation of these 14 letters to the lam. And the moon letters is because of the bu'd al-makharij, that is further away. The pronunciation of these letters, 14 letters, these 14 moon letters, is further away from to the pronunciation of the lam. So that's a reason, and that will answer the question of the sister who wrote that down previously. Well, today we're going to start a new lesson, Ad-Dars Al-Rabi', the fourth lesson. Ad-Dars Al-Rabi', the fourth lesson. And this is where we have the tarkeez. This is where the mu'allif, the author, he starts to concentrate on the huruf, the particles. Before, it was more of a concentration on the asma, of the nouns, for example, the mubtada and the khabar, a jumla ismiya, the subject and the predicate and what have you. There were some particles that were present, like the interrogative particles, like hal and the hamzat al-istifham. That did come up in the previous lessons. But now we're going to focus on a group of particles called the huruf al-jar. They are called the huruf al-jar. And we're going to mention why they are called that today, inshallah. So huruf al-jar is what we're going to be concentrated on today, inshallah. I think I've paused. No, I haven't paused it. Okay, so this is the title of our lesson today. Al-huruf al-jar. Huruf al-jarri. Okay, these are prepositions. These are prepositions. But, like we like to do, and this is our method, we assume that you do not know what prepositions are in English. So we'll let you know in English what's a preposition, where does it come from, and some examples, and then I'll explain how it's used and what's the terminology, how does the terminology come for the Arabic. So, prepositions, it comes from Latin, yeah? Pre, yeah? Which is before, yeah? Pre, which is before. And then we have positions, which tells you a position of something. So, prepositions, what they do is they tell you, they link a noun to other parts of a sentence. It connects the noun or nouns to other parts of the sentence. And prepositions can be to show the position of something, or the time or place of something, yeah? Position, place, yeah? Or the time of something. And that has other functions as well. So that's a preposition, it comes from pre. But prepositions, it also, there's something called propositions, which shows, so pre comes from before, so prepositions normally come before a noun. But there's also something called propositions. Pro in Latin meaning after. So there are a set of prepositions also which come after a noun, not always before. And there's also something called circumpositions. Latin circum means around. And these are some prepositions which come before and after a noun. And the actual real word which combines all of this together is called adpositions. Now adpositions is not used anymore in English. Now it's just prepositions. So prepositions can come before, like he went to the park. To coming before park. Yeah, showing time, or showing where, position, or where someone's going, the end goal. But there can also be a preposition like ago. 3 years ago. Ago has come after. So this is a proposition. Yeah? But they're all known as prepositions. So this is what prepositions come from. From pre, Latin, or propositions from pro, after, or circumpositions, which is around, which comes before or after, and they're all called adpositions. So that's in English, that's where it comes from. Now, that's prepositions. Examples of prepositions in English is in, on, after, before. These are examples of preposition in English. So that's what prepositions are in English. As for in Arabic, then there's a definition that people give, and that is, or we can give a definition of first of all what a harf is. A preposition of a harf, a particle, is kullu lafz, every word, kullu lafzin laysa lahu ma'na. Laysa lahu ma'na. Every word which does not have a meaning illa fi jumalin tama aw mufida wa mufida. It's every word which does not have a meaning. So it's a word, or it's a word يدل على, you can say كل لفظ يدل على, so كل لفظ يدل or لا يدل or ليس له معنى. So every word which does not have a meaning, but it only has a meaning when it comes in a complete or beneficial sentence. Yeah? So كل لفظ ليس لا يدل على معنى إلا في جمل تامة ومفيدة. Let me rephrase that. So كل لفظ لا يدل على معنى. Yeah? I'll rephrase that. لا يدل على does not signify or does not give a meaning, show a meaning, except when it comes in a complete and beneficial sentence. So if I was to say to you, in, fi, just come in, I'll come into the room and I say to you, fi, in. Does it have a meaning? It doesn't really have a meaning. But if I say to you, in the classroom there is a student. في الفصل هناك طالب. Now, fi has a meaning. Fi is showing you that in this classroom, a student is positioned or is in this classroom. You understand? Now fi has a meaning. And it has a meaning because it's come in a complete and beneficial sentence. So particles, or huruf, they don't in itself have a meaning. Yeah? But the meaning comes when it comes in a complete or beneficial sentence. Is that understood? Yeah? So if I was to say to you, ago, yeah? Or on. Okay, on, what do you mean on? Oh, sorry. On the table there is a laptop. Okay, now I know what on means. I know what you mean by on. Because on can mean a turn on the switch. So on now has a meaning. It has a meaning that this laptop is placed above the table. And that's why on, we're going to come to that, has the meaning of isti'la, to be above. Yeah? ثُمَّ اسْتَوَىٰ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ, for example. Allah raised above the throne. Now, so that's what a particle is, a harf. It's a word which does not have a meaning except when it comes in a complete beneficial sentence. Yeah? Complete beneficial sentence. Okay, so that is what a harf is. Now, huruf al-jar. So we know huruf means particles, and we know what particles are. Yeah? Words which don't have a meaning except when it comes in a beneficial and complete sentence. What does jar mean? Yeah? What does jar mean in Arabic? Okay, jar comes from the verb jarra, to pull. Okay? So I am jarartu al-bab. I just done the action here for those who listen online. I just pulled the door as an open. Yeah? Jarar. And that's why you see signs, some signs will have jar al-bab or pull the door, or ishab al-bab, which also means to pull. Yeah? So jar is the verb to mean pull down. Also, prepositions in Arabic, according to the Kufiyun, the people from Kufa, and that's like the author of Al-Ajrumiyya, Imām Ajarum, he does not call it huruf al-jar. He calls it huruf al-khafd. He calls it huruf al-khafd. He calls it huruf al-khafdi. Huruf al-khafdi. So there's huruf al-jarri or huruf al-khafdi. Khafada or khafd comes from the verb khafada, which also means to be low. Like, for example, darajatul harara munkhafida. The temperature is low. Has descended, has gone down. So khafd and jar has the meaning of down or pulling down. So why are prepositions called huruf al-jar? Particles which are used to pull something down. Why? Or put it low onto the ground. That's because these prepositions, these huruf al-jar, they do something to the noun after it. They do something to the last letter or the ending of the nouns after it. And what does it do? We said that nouns can be marfu'. Yeah, a noun can end with a dhamma or dhammatan. Yeah? So let's look at bayt, for example. Baytun. Baytun is marfu', meaning the ending, the case ending, ends of dhammatan. That's what marfu' means. That the case ending is got a dhamma or dhammatan. Baytun, we can say also baytan. And this will be, the bayt will say it's mansoob. Mansoob, meaning the case ending ends of fatha or fathatan. In this case, baytan, fathatan. But look at this one now. Baytin. And we call baytin, or the case ending, we call it, it's majroor. Majroor, it's got jarr. Jarra, it's got, coming from the verb jarra. It's majroor, meaning the case ending has two kasras. What's different between majroor? If we compare majroor to marfu' and mansoob, what's different? Okay, so if we look at these two case endings, we look at baytun, which is marfu', and baytan, which is mansoob. What's the difference between the vowel signs on bayt and the vowel sign on baytin?
Oh, it's underneath.
It's underneath. Can you see that? It's been pulled down. It's majroor. It's underneath. It's on the ground. Khafada means to pull something down. And jarra, to pull something down, or to pull something. Khafada can also mean it's low to the ground. That's why they are called huruf al-khafdi or huruf al-jarri, because it changes the noun for marfu' and pulls that case ending down to make it majroor. That's why they're called huruf al-jarr ikhwan and huruf al-khafd. That's important to know. A lot of people don't realize this. They just memorize the terminology. But now we know why it's called majroor. Because it comes from jarra or khafada, to pull something down. So this case, marfu' baytun, if I was to put a preposition before it, like I've been talking about fi. So forget about fi for now. So we have baytun, a house. Am I right? Baytun. As soon as I place before it, before it's a harfu jar, like fi, what happens to bayt? We have to pull that case ending down, or change it to fi bayt. So baytun changes to fi baytin. Why? Because fi is a harfu jar. It makes the noun out after it majroor, or we say it makes the noun no longer called an ism, it's called an ismun majroorun. It's called an ismun, a noun which is majroorun. A noun which is majroorun, which has the case ending, it's a genitive case ending, the kasra or kasratan. So baytun, put before it a harfu jar or a harfu khafd, like fi. Baytun changes to fi baytin. It's pulled down. Jarra, jarratil akhiratu, or the ending has changed to majroor, and that's why we call bayt ismun majroor. Okay, let's go to the book now. That's an introduction. Now,
teacher, I need to ask.
Yeah.
What's the meaning? Like the meaning of
fi.
When is so you mean fi baytun we cannot use it?
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that. Okay.
And what's the meaning?
Yeah. Okay. So we know what a harfu jar is now. Naam? Yeah. We know that a harfu jar, it has there are different types of harfu jar. First of all, there are different types of prepositions. There are many. Okay. Some say 21. Some say 9. According to what you know. So there are different types of harfu jar. Each one has a meaning. When it's placed in a sentence. When it's placed in a sentence, they have their own meanings. Okay? We're going to talk about two today. Fi and ala. Okay? Fi and ala, which comes in the book. So there are different types of harfu jar. Huruf al-jar, the reason why they are called huruf al-jar is because when they are placed before a noun, the noun changes to the case ending majroor. Yeah? That's important. That means a noun after harf jar can never ever be anything other than majroor. Okay? So for example, I cannot say, and this is fi baytun. Nor can I say fi baytan. That'd be wrong also. It's only permissible for me to say fi baytin. Why? Because the qaaidah, the rule is that the ism ba'da, the noun ba'da, after the harf jar is majroor, is got the kasra or kasratan. It's in the genitive case. So yes, you can never say fi baytun. You can never say fi baytan. You can only say fi baytin. Do you understand? So that's the rule of the harf jar. The harf jar, it makes the nouns after him majroor. Okay. Now that we've said that, then I want to say something about the nouns. Then I just want to mention something about the nouns, and I'll go back to the book and we'll start to implement. So the huruf al-jar, they are huruf, that means they don't have meanings except when they come in a sentence. When they come to a complete beneficial sentence, then the meanings become apparent. Okay. Now they are huruf which are mukhtassa and huruf which are ghayru mukhtassa. There are verbs can be categorized also. Particles can be categorized into two on the way, or in terms of what they enter onto, what they come with. Yeah? They can be, number one, we call mukhtassa, specific. And there can be two, ghayru mukhtassa, unspecific. They can be specific and unspecific. What do I mean by this? There are some particles, let me put the harakat on this, غير مختصة or مختصة. Okay, some huruf only come before nouns. Some huruf only come before verbs. And some come with both, with everything. Yeah. So the ones which come with everything are unspecific. And I'm going to mention this, okay? An example. And the ones that only come before a noun or only come before a verb, they are specific. And there's a reason why I mention this. The reason why I mention this is because huruf al-jar only enter upon nouns. They only come before nouns. Huruf al-jar, prepositions in Arabic, they only come before nouns. That's a characteristic of one of the definitions of a noun, or way to identify a noun, is that before it's a harf jar. And that's why I'll say, and then before I say that, I'm going to give you examples of specific and unspecific. Okay? So what do I mean by specific? Huruf can be specific. So what I mean huruf can be specific, particles can be specific, and particles can be unspecific. So, for example, example is that a group of particles only enter onto nouns. E.g., for example, the huruf al-jar, prepositions. Yeah? Like in the example, Ana في المسجد. أنا في المسجد. I am in the masjid. Can you see that fi has come before masjid? Masjid being a noun. You will not see fi come before a verb. You won't see fi say, like for example, adhabu, I go. You can't say fi adhabu, ala adhabu, ila adhabu. You can't place a preposition, a harfu jar, before a verb. Because they don't enter upon verbs. They only enter or come before nouns. So they are, huruf al-jar are what? Specific. They specifically come before nouns. That's the example of specific. Another example of specific is sofa, which will come later in book 2. Example, sofa, which is a particle. Particle which refers to the future. كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون. Yeah? Sofa. It's a specific type of particle. It only enters upon verbs or comes before verbs. So, سوف أذهب إلى المسجد. I will go to the masjid. Can I say sofa al-masjid? I can't say sofa al-masjid. I can't place sofa before a noun. Because sofa is a type of harf which is mukhtas, which is specific. It only comes before verbs and gives the meaning of future. So, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because the huruf al-jar specifically only come before nouns. They are mukhtassa bil asma. They are what? Mukhtassa bil asma. They are specific to nouns. They come before nouns. And that's why in this book, Medina book 1, or in the Quran, or anywhere else, you only see verbs, so prepositions, enter upon nouns. Okay, only enter upon nouns. That's very important to understand about the prepositions. That they are specific and related to, they come before nouns. Okay? And so that's example of specific. Now, we have learned an unspecific harf already. Okay? We've already learned an example of an unspecific harf, particle. And that is hal.
What means this sofa?
Sofa makes the present tense after it the future.
Doesn't have a meaning.
So it just makes the verb after the future tense. So adhabu, I go. Sofa adhabu, I will go. This makes it into the future. Yeah, sofa there's two types. The sin al-mustaqbaliyah or sofa al-mustaqbaliyah. Yeah? These two, sofa and the sa, they are placed before a verb to make it into the future tense. Okay? We don't have a future tense pattern in English, in Arabic. Okay? We don't have. We put these two before it to make it the future tense. سيكون السفهاء. سيقول السفهاء. The stupid will say سيقول sa. Future. Entered upon the present tense. Yeah? So, an example of a unspecific harf in relation to how it enters what it enters upon, then hal does not specifically come before a noun and does not specifically come before a verb. It can come before both of them. هل ذهبت إلى مسجد؟ For example, did you go to the masjid? Hal came before a verb. هل in the book, we've got hal. Give me an example of hal in the book. You're not going to see it before a verb. So a hal question. Hal anta, right at the beginning in the second chapter. Let's get an example from the book so it's something that you have learnt. No, we don't. Okay, I'll give you an example. هل أنت طالب? For example, هل أنت طالب? It will come inshallah. Are you a student? So hal has come before anta. Anta is a noun, a pronoun. So hal is what we call غير مختص. It doesn't specifically come before a verb, and it doesn't specifically only come before a noun. It can be placed before a verb or a noun. Okay? So the difference between hal and a harfu jar is that harfu jar comes only before a verb. Whereas, for example, hal...
Harfu jar only comes before a noun?
A noun, sorry. Afwan. The harfu jar only comes before a noun. Whereas hal can come before a noun or a verb. So it's unspecific. So that's why I mentioned mukhtassa and ghayru mukhtassa. Okay. So now that we know that, I want to mention one thing. Now, since we have seen all of the signs. Now, all the signs have come now. And now I'd like to tell you the 4 signs of identifying a noun. In Arabic they say alamatul ism or asma. Alamatul asma. The signs of nouns. The sign of a word being a noun. How do you know the word in front of you is a noun or a verb or a particle? How do you know which type of speech it is? How do we know? By reaching this chapter and talking a little bit about propositions, and we're going to repeat and repeat until it becomes embedded with us and part of us, these grammar rules. And we are going to go to the book. How do we know that a noun is a noun? How do we identify a noun? Number 1, and we learned this in the first chapter, is that a noun can have tanween. A sign of a noun that it can accept tanween, which is a double vowel. So dhammatan, fathatan, or kasratan. Tanween, double vowel. Yeah, double vowel. For example, in the first sentence in your books, هذا بيت. أخي الكريم, بيت. Is that a noun?
Yes.
How do you know?
Because have tanween.
Because it has tanween. As soon as you've seen baytun, the dhammatan, you know that is a noun. Why? Because it has one of the signs of a noun. One of the signs where you could identify a noun. And that is tanween. Ikhwan, this is from Ajurumiyya, yeah? This is one of the first things they teach you in Ajurumiyya. The signs of a noun. But now we can actually explain it because we've got to the point where all 4 signs have come. Okay? So tanween is one of them. Like, هذا بيت. Baytun is a noun. Tanween. هذا kitabun. Kitabun is a noun. How do we know? There's a tanween there. هذا masjidun. Masjidun. Tanween there. Noun. All those words on the first page, they are nouns. Why? Because they have a tanween. You can see, you can identify it by the ending of the word has a tanween. Number 2 is that it has an alif, or it has al at the beginning. It has al, or it accepts, then the word accepts alif lam or al. Remember there's a difference between a Kufiyun and a Basriyun. Yeah? Some the Kufis and Basri, they differ. Some of them, one of them calls it al, another calls it alif lam. Same thing. It's just different terminologies. So the second sign of a noun that it allows the prefix al. Yeah? It allows for al to be prefixed to it. Mm-hmm. For example, al baytu qaribun. Al baytu qaribun. Al baytu qaribun, the house is close. Al baytu, Akhi al-Kareem, is that a noun? No. How do you know it's a noun? Al. Because al has been it's prefixed to it. Qaribun, is that a noun also?
Yes. No.
Why?
Because have a
tanween.
It's not. It's adjective.
Doesn't matter. Adjectives are you said in the first lesson that adjectives are nouns. But this is not an adjective in this case, actually. This is actually a predicate. The khabar, the information about the thing.
You're right.
Yeah?
Sorry,
Yeah, but even if you said it was an adjective, adjectives are nouns. Adjectives, pronouns, adverbs, these are all nouns. Okay? Well, yes, they're all nouns. Okay? So pronouns, adjectives, all these things are nouns. Okay? Yeah. So, al-baytu, the sign of that being a noun is that you can see al prefix to it. Qaribun, the sign of qaribun being a noun is that it ends with tanween. Yeah? Okay. Number 3, the third sign, or the signs of identifying a noun, a sign of a noun, is, and this is all come from today's lesson, the next 2 come from today's lesson, is that it's a noun can accept a kasra. It can accept a kasra. I'll see how Imām al-Ajurūm mentions that. Yeah. It can be yu'rafu being kasra, or in other words, it can be majroor. It can be majroor. Yeah? It can be majroor. So you can see the kasra or kasratan. In other words, it's majroor. So a noun can be majroor. Yeah? Like in today's chapter, when we see in the beginning of the word, we see fil bayti, al bayti. So in the word fil bayti, al bayti. Is it marfu', mansub, or majroor? It says majroor. It ends with a kasra, yeah? It's majroor. A word which is majroor, you can visibly see the kasra or kasratan, that is the way to identify it being a ism, a noun. So, al-bayti has actually 2 signs of it being a noun. The first one, akhi? Al. The second one?
Majroor.
It's majroor, it's got kasra. Yeah? So, now we know that a noun can have 1 sign to identify it, or 2 signs to identify it. And we're going to see it can also have 3. For example, fi baitin. And that's why we write number 4. Number 4, the 4th sign is that prepositions can enter upon it. Prepositions can enter upon it. Yeah? That's the last sign. And the way Imām al-Ajurūm, he mentions this, he says in alamat, the signs of nouns, he says dukhul الأفلام وحروف الجر. دخول الحرف الجر. He says دخول حروف الجر. Yeah? That prepositions enter upon them or come before them. You'll see a sign of a noun is, how can you tell if that word bait is a noun? Look before it. Is there a harfu jar? If there is, that's a noun. So when you see a preposition, a harfu jar, before a word, know that that word is a noun. Because one of the signs of a noun being a noun is that the huruf al-jar can enter upon them. Dukhul al-huruf al-jar. The prepositions can enter upon them, meaning they come before them, they precede them. They precede them. So in the example, fi baytin. Bait is a noun because actually we can have, there are three ways, there are three signs of bait being a noun, or the way there are three signs that where we can identify that bait in fi baitin is a noun. Number one, akhi? Tanween, the double vowel. Baitin, kasratan. That's number one. Number two.
Is fi in front of?
Yes. Yeah, a harfu jar has come before it. Number two. Number three?
Number three is no.
Yes, it's majroor.
Oh, majroor. Oh, so that wouldn't be the same, but it's...
No, so we know that it's majroor because of the harfu jar,
yes.
but they are two separate signs.
Yeah.
So the preposition being before fi baitin is one sign.
Okay.
And the fact that the fi made baitun into baitin, made in majroor, is another sign. So there are four ways that you can identify a noun. Number one, see, is there al before it? Or al on it? If al is on it, yep, that is a noun. Number two, does it accept tanween? Do you see un, an, or in? Dammatan, fatatan, kasatan? If you do, know that that's a noun. Number three, look before it. Is there a preposition? Is there a harfu jar? Fi, ala, ila, min? Is there any of those before it, for example? Yes? Then that word after that preposition is a noun. Number four, that the noun itself is majroor. It has a kasra or kasratan. And that's another sign of it being a noun. So a noun can have one sign to identify it being a noun, two signs, or three. Can never have four. Can never have all four. Why? Because you can never have a noun al-baytin. That would be all four signs, yes? Yeah? You can never have alif lam ta'rif and tanween together. You can't say for example, a house. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't be definite and indefinite at the same time. It's either nakira or ma'rifa. We know this. Yes. We said that nakira and ma'rifa, they fight until one of them goes away. So it can never be al-baytun. Sometimes will win. So al-baytu. Sometimes the tanween will win. Baytun. Al's gone. It can never be there together. They don't like one another. So there can never be four signs. It's possible being three signs, like in fi baytin. So now, due to this lesson, alhamdulillah, I can explain to you, and now you can visibly understand that the way to identify a noun is by four signs. Tanween, the prefix of al or alif lam, that the word being majroor, meaning in the case ending is fatah, fatatan, and also the harf jar comes before it, or enters dukhul huruf al-jar alayha on it, to it. So now just quickly we'll read the beginning of the lesson. الدرس الرابع. You can look at it, I've got it on my computer. الدرس الرابع. البيت, the house. في البيت, in the house. Why has al-baytu changed to al-bayti? Why, in other words, why al-baytu, which is marfu', why has it changed to majroor, al-bayti? Because fi is a harfu jar, And what does harfu jar do? It makes the noun after it become ismun majroor. So we say fi. This is how we do grammatically analyze it. Fi harfu jar. Al-bayti ismun majroor. Wa alamatu jarrihi al-kasra al-zahira. And the sign of it being majroor is a kasra which you can see, which is apparent.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Al-masjidu, the masjid, marfu'. How do you know it's marfu'? There's a dhamma. Fil masjidi, in the masjid. Yeah? Fi harfu jar, al-masjidi, yeah, is ismun majroor. So why has it changed? Because of the harfu jar. Al-maktabu, the desk, marfu'. Ala al-maktabi, ala harfu jar. Al-maktabi ismun majroor wa alamatu jarrihi, and the sign of it being majroor al-kasra al-zahira ala akhirihi, a clear apparent kasra at the end, ala akhirihi, at the end of it, meaning the word. Al-sariru, the bed. Ala al-sariri, why did I say ala al-sariri and not ala al-sariri? Seen as a sun letter. As-sariru, the bed. Ala sariri, on the bed. As-sariru was marfu'. Why did it change to majroor? Because of the harfu jar. Ala makes the word after it ismun majroor. Okay? So here are some questions of ba. Aina Muhammadun? We're going to talk about Aina. Aina means where. Yeah? Aina Muhammadun. Where is Muhammad? So Aina, it's al-istifham or as-su'alu anil makan. We'll give you a sheet on this. Asking about the place of something. Where something is situated. Okay? Aina Muhammadun. Where is Muhammad? Huwa fil ghurfa ti. You see, purposely in the first one, there's no kasra. So we can get the student to give the answer. Huwa fil ghurfati. Huwa means he. We're going to talk about huwa. He is, huwa fil ghurfati. He is in the room. Huwa is a damirun munfasil. It's a, what we call a personal pronoun or a detached pronoun. We're going to talk about this inshallah. We're not going to focus on this today because we're only got a little bit of time. Huwa fil ghurfati. He is fi in, is a harfu jar. Al-ghurfati ismun majroor. And why has it got a kasra? Why is it majroor? Because of the, it's zahira, but why? Because of the harfu jar before it. Wa ayna yasirun. And where is Yasir? Huwa fil hammami. He, huwa means he is. Fi harfu jar. Al-hammami, the bathroom. Why is al-hammami got a kasra? Why is it not huwa fil hammamu? Akhi al-kareem. Why is it not huwa fil hammamu?
Because the harfu jar pull the word down, makes
Majroor. Ahsant. And you explained actually even that why is it called harfu jar? Pulls it down. Ahsant. Wa ayna aminatu. I'm going to talk about this word. This is Amina. Why does she have one dhamma? Why is it not wa ayna aminatun? We're going to talk about this next week. I'll just give you a lamha quick. Female names never end with tanween. Female names never end with tanween. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the mamnu' min al-sarf, the dip totes, trip totes. What does this mean? But wa ayna, just for now, Amina is a female name. It never has tanween. Okay? Wa ayna aminatu. And where is Amina? Hiya. Hiya is the opposite, or is the feminine version of huwa. Hiya means she is. We're going to talk about this in detail next week. Hiya fil matbakhi. She is in the kitchen. Akhi al-Kareem Ahmed. Why is it not hiya fil matbakha?
Because the
harful jar makes a noun after him become ismun majroor. Yeah? And we'll go through in detail again next week. Ayn al-kitabu? Where is the book? Kitab is marfu'ah. The kitab is marfu'ah. How do we know? The dhamma. Al-dhahira al-akhiri. There's a clear, apparent dhamma at the end. Huwa ala al-maktabi. It, huwa, therefore can also mean he or it. We'll talk about this next week. It can be animate or inanimate, or talk about an animate or inanimate noun, or substitute an animate or inanimate noun.
That would be masculine as well.
Yes. It, huwa ala al-maktabi. It is on the table. Why is it not, Akhil Kareem, huwa ala al-maktabu?
Because we have the harf al-jar.
Which harf, where's the harf al-jar?
It's in front of the...
What is it?
Of the ism, in front of maktab.
Yeah, what is that word?
It's fi.
No. Huwa ala al-maktabi, ala.
It is an.
Ala.
Yeah.
Ala, which means on, yeah? We're going to talk about this next week in detail.
Yeah, sure.
Huwa ala al-maktabi, it is on the desk, maktabi. So maktabi is an ism majroor which comes after harf jar. And lastly, wa ayna as-sa'atu? And where is the watch or clock? Hiya ala sariri, it is on the bed. Ala is a harf jar, as-sariri. The reason why it's majroor, because it's an ismun majroor because of the harf jar before it. Okay? So, and the reason why they use hiya, because as-sa'atu is feminine. We're going to talk about that in detail next week. So the lesson that we want to go through today is that huruf al-jar, they are prepositions, and they don't have a meaning, they don't indicate or show meaning, except until it comes in a complete and beneficial sentence. There are different types of huruf al-jar which have different meanings. We've studied fi, which has the meaning of in. They call it dharfiyya. They call it dharfiyya, showing the position, the place of something. And the second preposition that we've learned today is ala. And ala has the meaning of al-ulu or al-isti'la, to be above and high, on top of something. Okay? On. It means on. Yeah? Like in ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى عَلَى الْعَرْشِ, Allah has raised above the throne. This shows ulu. Allah is al-ali, He's high above the creation. Na'am. And so those are the prepositions. And we said that the prepositions are specific, mukhtassa bil asma. They are specific to nouns. They are specific to nouns. And that's why one of the signs of identifying a noun is that it's before the noun comes a harf jar, preposition. Harf jar, there's two ways you can say it. Huruf al-jar or huruf al-khafd. Yeah? The Kufis say huruf al-khafd, like Imām like in al-Ajrumiyya. But in the Medina books, we use it according to the Basris, the people of Basra, and they say huruf al-jar. But both of these words are synonyms. They have the meaning of pulling down or being low. And why are they named after this word or this verb, pulling down or low? Because the noun after it, the case ending is pulled down to make it majroor, to make it have a kasr or kasratan. So what does the huruf al-jar do? They make the noun, the ism after, become ismun majroor. A noun which is majroor, a noun which is in the genitive case, or a noun which has a kasra or kasratan. And for now we're going to just say kasra or kasratan. There are other signs of a word being majroor, okay, which we're going to learn later inshallah, with different words, like in plurals. The masculine plural, for example, has a different sign, which is a ya. But that is the gist of the huruf al-jar. Any questions, ikhwan, before we finish? I know there's a bit there, but I think it helps. Okay, inshallah. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu